video 8.1, and in this video the learning target is I can express ratios in different forms and use the ratio language to describe a ratio relationship between two quantities. Our essential question: how are ratios related to fractions? The math practice standards for this lesson are 3 and 6, and we only have a few vocabulary terms. Our first key term is equivalent ratios, and those name the same comparison, so you're comparing the same two things. A rate compares two quantities that have different units of measure. For instance, what is the price per ounce? Miles per gallon, those types of things. Our next vocabulary term is ratio, and that is a comparison of two quantities using division. Unit rate is when the comparison is to one unit. As I mentioned, miles per gallon, price per pound, those types of things. There are three different types of ratios that we're going to talk about. We have a part to part to whole, and whole to part. And if you look at the shapes that I've drawn here, I have 3 squares or rectangles, depending on how you look at it, 3 triangles, and 5 circles. If I'm going to demonstrate a part to part, I would be asking you something like the number of triangles to the number of circles, which is 3 to 5. Now, a part to part you would not want to write as a fraction, because the second number, or what number would be used as the denominator, doesn't represent the whole amount. Part to whole would be the number of rectangles or squares to the total shapes, or 3 to 11. Now this one we could write as a fraction because 11 does represent the whole. And then our last one, whole to part, I would just basically reverse these two. Total shapes to the number of circles, 11 to 3. Oh, I wrote that wrong. Excuse me. 11 to 5. That's not right. Caught my own mistake. 11 to 5. Much better. We're going to look at an example that asks about a ratio. It said Mrs. Jones has 20 students in her class. 8 are boys and 12 are girls. 7 have brown hair, 10 have blonde hair, and 3 have red hair. What is the ratio of students with blonde hair to those with red hair? So let's think about what we are comparing. We're comparing two parts, so a part to a part. So I would not need the number 20 in my ratio, but I am needing to make sure that I write them down in the order they're asked for in the question. Students with blonde hair to those with red hair. The blonde hair has to come first. So we look back into the problem and we see that there are 10 students that have blonde hair, and there are 3 students with red hair. So our ratio should actually be 10 to 3. And again, this represents a part to a part. We have one here that is 10 to 20. That would be a part, the blonde hair, to the total number of students. And then we would have 3 to 10, which would be another part to a part.